Welcome. I'm Ken Grogan, Vice President, General Manager of EKG Security and EKG Services, an event staffing company. Let me be the first to welcome you to the event. First of all, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here to work and make some money for yourself or your organization. We do need to cover some general policies and rules for your working here today. These policies are the same no matter where you're working. No matter what track you're at, event you're at, or state you're working in, our policies are the same. First thing is customer service. Customer service is so important and should be our number one objective. We want you to have a pleasurable experience at the event, and we want our clients' guests, participants, spectators, etc. to have a pleasurable event. And you may very well be, and probably will be, the first contact a guest, spectator, or visitor has at the event. When they pull up at the gate or pull into a parking lot, you may be the first person they see. You can start their day off bad or start it off good. So be happy, be kind, be cheerful. We ask that you be helpful. If someone asks you where the restroom is, where to get some food, where do I park, where's an ATM, don't just say, I don't know, and walk away. That really starts the day off bad for the person who's looking for help. And actually, you're looked at as event staff. You should know, or at least have access to, information of where things are. So we're going to supply you with as much information as possible. So look at this information. I know you got some handouts when you came to work today. Look at those. Don't just throw them in your car or in your back pocket and don't look at them. And if for some reason you have familiarized yourself with things and you still don't know where something is, ask your supervisor, because you'll have supervisors around you. But again, don't just walk off and say, I don't know, to someone. Ask your supervisor. Try to get the information for the person that's asking the question, because you will make the first impression with the customer. Also in customer service, we ask that you be under control, that you not get angry. You will have some people who will be confrontational. You have to realize that you're checking tickets and preventing people from going to certain areas without proper ticketing or credentialing or parking passes. And sometimes people get irate or upset because they can't go somewhere where they think they should be able to. Please be under control, be kind and respectful to the person, and just ask them to go back to the credential office, the ticket office, or the registration office to resolve their issues, and you'll be glad to let them in the area that they want to go in. Again, it's first impressions, and this applies also in the parking area. There'll be people who want to park in a certain area and they may not be allowed to park there. Or someone may have to pay for parking and they don't like that. Just be kind and be respectful. Again, first impressions, and be helpful. Let's talk about dress. Not only should you be kind and respectful, but you also need to look good. You'll have on a shirt that's either event staff or event security in various colors. It could be pink or yellow or blue. You never know what color we will issue that for that event. We ask that you tuck your shirt in so it looks nice, and we also ask that you will wear tan or white shorts or pants. So we all sort of look the same or look uniform. The shirts, like I said, we will issue, and the supervisors will have on red EKG shirts like I have on here with an EKG patch on it. Managers with EKG will have on white shirts. So you can always go to your supervisor for necessary information. You can look for the red shirt. We ask that your pants and shirts be neatly pressed and look good. We don't want you to look like a slob on the job, because again, you want to be professional and look good. Our clients expect that, and we expect that. Hats. We know you probably may need a hat. A lot of times hats are issued by the client. Maybe a promotional issue. We ask, if we issue you a hat, please wear the hat. Now, we want the hat on straight. We don't want it on backwards. We don't want it on sideways. If you wear a hat that we issue, please wear it straight. So again, first impressions are really important with being respectful to the guest and kind, and also looking good. On the job rules, we don't want you to bring in chairs like folding chairs, because people tend to sit in those chairs and sort of lounge, and it looks like you're asleep or just downright lazy. So we will issue stools, and you can use that stool to lean up on, but we expect you to be standing and working. Of course the hours are long, and of course you're going to need breaks, and you will get breaks and be able to sit down and rest. But we just don't want you lounging in these, really a lounge chair. You'll get lots of relief, and supervisors will be coming around and checking on you. But again, the hours are long, so just realize that. It's very important that you be thorough. You'll be in a position of checking passes and tickets. Please check everything. Check every ticket on everybody, every pass on every vehicle. You've got to be thorough, because there are areas where a person will have to sign waivers to go into, and waivers of liability, because they're dangerous areas. We've got to make sure that we properly check for credentials. We have a situation also when we're checking credentials where people will try their best to get into areas that they're not allowed to go into. They will try to sneak their way in, they will try to bulldog their way in, they'll try to force their way in. So by being very thorough and making sure you check everything is a deterrent. And just because, a good example is we've had several occasions where someone will approach a gate with what appears to be a race team uniform. And if you don't check their credentials, you're not sure they are actually part of a race team, because someone could buy a race team uniform out in the parking lot at one of the vending areas that sells the uniforms. So just because someone is dressed in a uniform and looks like they belong doesn't necessarily mean they belong. So it's very important that you be very thorough, checking car passes, the tickets and credentials on the actual person. Let's talk about eating and smoking on the job, the use of tobacco. We know that you're going to have to eat. These hours are long, like I've stated before, but we ask that you eat out of sight. It looks terrible when someone approaches a gate to show you their ticket, and you've got a hamburger in one hand and a Coke in the other hand, and you can't even stub their ticket because your hands are full of food, or you're chewing food. So it's so important that you eat out of sight. You'll have plenty of breaks and plenty of opportunity to eat. Also, staying hydrated is important. Drinking water is important at these events. They're normally in the summer, spring, and it's hot. So please make sure you keep yourself hydrated. With water, soft drinks are okay. Of course, alcoholic beverages are not okay. Alcohol will dehydrate you, plus we don't allow any alcohol use while you're working. Now, at all NHRA events, no Pepsi products are allowed. So if you have to drink a Pepsi, Mountain Dew, or Dr. Pepper, make sure it is poured into a cup that doesn't say Pepsi, Mountain Dew, or Dr. Pepper. This has to do with sponsorship requirements. NHRA is sponsored by Coke. The use of tobacco is prohibited. So all you dippers, smokers, and chewers, please, I know you may have to smoke a cigarette for your nicotine habit, but do it out of sight on one of your breaks. Please, not in front of the customers, clients, and the visitors and spectators and that alike at the event. Cell phone use is a huge distraction at events. We don't want you texting, staying on the cell phone, playing video games, the use of earbuds, listening to music. It distracts you. You can't do your job thoroughly. Do that when you get home. Now we realize that someone may call you an emergency call, or someone may call you, answer the phone, say hello, tell them you're working, you're at the race, or you're at the event, and you'll call them back during your break. But don't be texting and letting things like that get in your way or distract you. Again, first impressions and dealing with the client's customer is very important. If you're injured on the job, Let's talk about workers' comp. You're covered under our workers' comp policy. At the sign-in area where you signed in to go to work, the doctor's panels are available. So anytime you're injured on the job, you have to follow the doctor's panels, which are at the sign-in area. You also signed a piece of paper saying you will follow our policies and procedures, and that includes the workers' comp policy. These doctor's panels are in Spanish and in English for better understanding. You were also given an emergency phone number card. Tells you who to contact. They'll have my cell phone, our office number. Use that in case of emergency. If you're injured on the job, notify your supervisor. Of course, if it is an emergency, you will be transported immediately to the nearest emergency facility for treatment, but you'll still be under our workers' comp policy and under the care of our workers' comp doctors. This is all detailed in our EKG policy manual, which it will be available and is available at the sign-in area where you signed in today. If you're injured on the job, you will be required to submit to a drug and alcohol test. That is standard procedure with workers' comp injuries. You'll also be required at the end of your shift or at the end of the event to fill out a timesheet. And one statement on the timesheet says that you were not injured on the job while working for EKG Security or EKG Services. If you were not injured, sign the timesheet. If you were injured, we will work through the signing of the timesheet for you. So in summary, if you're injured on the job, notify a supervisor, follow our policy, and we will get you treated for the appropriate medical treatment. Your authority while working during the event. You are not police officers. You may be event staff or event security. Your eyes and ears only. You're checking tickets, but you are not a police officer. We don't make arrests, nor do we have the ability to do searches and seizures. All that is a law enforcement function. You're mainly customer service, like we've talked about many times. Law enforcement will handle any problems. You may have someone who's abusive, who is rude, who forces their way in somewhere. If you're at a gate and someone doesn't have the proper credential to go where they want to go and they force their way in, we don't want you to put your hands on them. We don't want you to stop them. We want you to ask them to stop. If they continue on, get a description of them, notify your supervisor. The supervisor will then turn it over to law enforcement. Then it is out of your hands and the police will deal with it. And they will remove the person from the property. It is out of your hands. Now, at some events, mostly NHR events, and there may be some other events where we have to do cooler checking. We're looking for alcohol or glass products or any prohibitive items. We ask that you have the participant open their cooler, move their items around for you. You don't touch their items. If you see alcohol or glass products, ask them to remove those products, take them to their car or throw them away before entering the facility. Therefore, you have never touched their product or their merchandise. Now, you will have to touch their tickets and their credentials to stub them or scan them. That's okay. Now remember, during all this, you should be under control. And again, you may have some people who get angry and agitated. We ask that you not get angry or agitated. Just simply notify a supervisor and let the supervisor handle it from there. Record of your work is important. If you're working for yourself, you'll be asked to fill out a timesheet. Please print clearly. This is how we pay you. If we can't read your name or address or zip code, we can't get your check to you. It's terribly important that you print clearly and you put your full address. Put the street number, street name, city, state, zip, and telephone number in case we have questions so we can call you. But print clearly. And again, at the bottom of that timesheet will say, I was not injured or I acknowledge I was not injured while working on this job with EKG Security or EKG Services. If you're not injured, it's no problem, sign that timesheet. If you're working for one of the band or volunteer organizations, you will have a sign-in log where all of you signed in for one day. And You'll sign in the time you came in and the time you came out, and also you'll be asked to initial beside your name. And by initialing that sheet, you're acknowledging that you were not injured on the job. Please print clearly on this also, because we will turn in this log to your organization along with a check, so they will know and can read who worked. So you get credit for working. That's important. So in summary, have fun at the event. These things are fun to work, long, tiring hours, but really fun. So have fun, look good, and care. We know you're here to make money for yourself or your organization. We also want you to be professional and care about what you're doing. And most of all, have a pleasurable event. If you have a pleasurable event, so do the people you come in contact with. Have fun. Thank you.